Hello, everyone, and welcome to the glorious Everknight, a book I'm writing. I hope you guys are all enjoying it. Since I'm going to be sharing this with most of my coworkers, this is also going to be on YouTube. So, hi, YouTube. This is Crazy Shower Dragon here, aka Gabriel Wally, the author of The Story of Luminia. Also available on Amazon. You can go buy that. Anyways, this book is something I'm gonna release on Amazon too. But if you want to follow along, this is gonna be some audio. So, yeah, here's a recording session for you. Hope you guys enjoy. This is The Glorious Everknight, Book 1, The Folly of Code. The Glorious Everknight, Novel 1, The Folly of Code. Chapter 1, The Glorious Everknight. Code 1. An Everknight may never take off his armor. To break this code is to strike eternal shame among even the common folk, for anyone who dares to remove the armor themselves will face death by the Everknight. Have your will prepared. The mighty storm bellowed in tune with the enormous serpent's cry of anger. The Blue Knight raised his sword and cut through the harsh winds and the very snow particles itself. The head of the serpent toppled down its 12-tavern-long neck and splashed onto the wet snow. Then silence. Along with the serpent, many trees and the very snowstorm itself were cut through. The weather was temporarily cleared before light snow began to fall again. The Everknight tilted his silver sword, holding the bronze handle with one hand and allowing the blade to rest on his shoulder. He let out a heavy sigh. Not good enough, he muttered to himself before kneeling down next to the head of the giant serpent. Even the knight's large body was only half of the head. As he examined the head, he raised his sword once more. I should take its eyes and hide, the knight spoke lightly. He began to slice off its metal-like skin and work his way down its elongated back. It only took him 2 elegant swings to remove the turtle shell-like skin. Then he took a sack, no bigger than an average-sized shoe, from his right side, and opened it. Immediately, a small purple portal appeared at the entrance of the sack, and it began to second the enormous snake hide. Even though the snake had been the size of 12 taverns, the small sack stored it inside without ever changing size. Time for the eyes, the knight said to himself, as he gouged the snake's large marble eyes. The eyes were nearly the same size as him, and made a sick slurping sound when sucked into the small magic sack. Then the knight placed the sack back onto him, and walked away from the now enormous skinned snake. As he trotted a good distance, he took out the small sack once more, and reached inside, pulling out a large egg from it, and placing the egg in the snow. May you grow well, the Everknight said as he walked away, while his tattered blue cape blew through the wind. As time had passed, the snowstorm had once again picked up, becoming a full-on blizzard. The knight could no longer see within 10 meters in front of him. Though the cold did not bother him, he was not interested in being lost. So, he unsheathed his sword and raised it with both hands over his head. Then he proceeded to bring it down with such force that the weather once again cleared as it had done in the fight with the serpent. It revealed a small town not far away from the forest. What? A town this close to the forest? The Everknight looked curiously at it. Suddenly the blizzard bellowed once more, and the clouds and haze returned with it. The Everknight twitched, obviously bothered with how fast the storm had returned. He proceeded to wrap his blue cape around his face to block some of the snow. That's odd, he muttered before trotting towards the town. There was a large wall surrounding the village made of mostly wood with hints of metal. As the knight examined it, he could see scratch marks on the sides. The scratches were carved arrows in the wood indicating where to go. When he followed them, he found a large wooden door indented deeply into the wall. He pulled down his makeshift mask, made from his cape, and proceeded to knock loudly 3 times. Before he could back away from the door, it flung open. Rosetta? A frightened old voice shouted out into the snowy night. The Everknight backed away, slowly as to not scare the old man any further. It was an elderly beastfolk, dressed in clothes tattered and worn. Oh, a knight. The old beastfolk sighed with disappointment. He stared at the blue knight, expecting him to remove his helmet. The Everknight did not speak. Are you lost? The Everknight stood silent. The beastfolk looked confused. The Everknight still chose not to respond. The silence was only filled with the knight's cape blowing in the wind and the blizzard swooshing behind him. Sir? The elderly beastfolk leaned forward, as if maybe his posture was the reason the knight refused to acknowledge him. Am I to answer to you or your master? The Everknight finally asked. Immediately, the beastfolk shifted, as if broken by the word master. Oh, one of those, I see. The elderly beastfolk smiled brokenly. Actually, you'll find no beastfolk slaves here. I see. This is the Proid Kingdom then, yes? At that, the beastfolk looked up. Yes, it is! Some time passed before he realized the Everknight wouldn't speak again. Sir, are you lost? The beastfolk asked. His old raspy voice was almost a whisper. How dare he ask a knight such a question? No, was the Everknight's response. Then silence. Only the sound of wind filled the air. Would you like to come in? You must be freezing, the elderly beastfolk asked, looking at the knight up and down with worry. Is that ice on your armor? How long have you been out there? The Everknight did not stir. He continued to stare at the beastfolk in silence. Surely you fell into a pond of sorts? Icicles can't form without water, right? The beastfolk asked. When there was no response, the beastfolk sighed and shivered. Please, come on in. I'm not sure how much more longer I can handle this weather. The elderly beastfolk went inside, and the Everknight followed behind. The blizzard bellowed fast, but the village was left untouched by the strong icy winds. Some sort of magic kept the worst parts outside the towering walls. However, snow still trickled down from the sky. As the knight made his way through the snowy village of the beastfolk, the houses he passed by turned off their mage lights. Tavern owners stood outside their shops, eyeing him sternly. To what do I owe the strange onlookers? Do Everknights frighten them? The glorious Everknight asked. Oh, don't mind them. They think you're a part of the Royal's Guards. The old beastfolk spoke. A Royal Guard? The Everknight stopped in his tracks. Not a Royal Guard, but a Royal's Guard. The old beastfolk turned towards the Everknight. There's a difference. A Royal Guard would mean you serve the king. A Royal's Guard would mean you serve the king's attendant, or something. A hired soldier, if anything. I see. The Everknight slowly turned to the nearest onlooker. It was an owner of a food storage, seemingly waiting to be approached. The Everknight took a step towards him. A hand was put on his shoulder immediately. Mr. Knight, what are you doing? You don't want trouble here, the elderly beastfolk pleaded. However, his small furry hand was crushed with the Everknight's tight grip. The beastfolk yelped, struggling to get his hand free. After it was let go, the Everknight continued in an elegant stride to the storage owner. The owner had changed his stance into one prepared for a fight. The Everknight paused just before him. You insult me with your looks. The whole lot of you. The Everknight's armor hid his face, but the anger in his low tone helped it bleed through. Oh yeah? You're not taking our food this time for your royal banquet tonight. The beastfolk growled. He was a rough-looking Pathan sort of beastfolk. His body was scarred up from his fair share of scraps. The Everknight reached for his sword, ready to behead him for his insolence. However, he froze before he drew his sword. The Panther beastfolk offered his neck, slowly pointing at his Adam's apple. Go ahead. Better than starving to death. The beastfolk scoffed. I am not here for your food. The Everknight relaxed. He would not spill blood quite yet. After all, how could he forget the Everknight rule? If someone is ignorant of our ways, do not punish them. Teach them, for the Everknights did not become what they are overnight. He deeply inhaled before relaxing his muscles and resting his hand on the hilt of his sword. I am sure you do not know. He looked the Panther beastfolk up and down. The panther lowered his hands as well, now crossing them in defiance. What don't I know? The panther scoffed. The Everknight's ways. The Everknight spoke lightly, as if saying those words were blissful. The panther beastfolk froze. The Everknight adjusted himself into a more stern stature. It appears you do, the Everknight said with surprise in his voice. I'm sorry! I'm sorry! The panther beastfolk apologized with widened eyes, bowing before the Everknight. No need to bow. Your apology is acknowledged. The Everknight lifted his hand from his sword and relaxed his posture. I understand if you wish to punish me. The panther beastfolk still laid on the floor, bowing profusely. I only wish to know your name, the Everknight said. The panther beastfolk slowly rose, careful not to insult the Everknight by rushing up. It's Yanaka, the panther beastfolk said. Yanaka. So midnight. The Everknight's voice was curious. It was not often that beastfolk had a name from another world. In fact, in the Proi Kingdom, reincarnated beings from another world were prohibited from entering. My father gave it to me. I promise I'm not what you think, the beastfolk. Yanaka trembled. He knew even an Everknight would enforce a kingdom's rule. They were so honorable, even honoring foreign rules. I can see by your actions that you are not from another world, and I pay no mind to enforcing rules that are not from the Everknights. The Everknight looked towards where he had thrown the elderly man. The elderly beastfolk was gone, his tracks leading back to the doors of the giant wall. Oh, thank you. I apologize for mistaking you for a royal guard, sir. Yanaka paused. I will not provide a name. An Everknight's title is earned, and whom he chooses to share it to is up to him, the Everknight stated. Ah, I see, Yanaka sighed. I wish to find the town's main tavern, the Everknight said. Oh, Yanaka kneeled down. Allow me to escort you there. I am well known in this town, and will be of great assistance. Well known? Is this why the people have taken interest in our situation? The Everknight nodded towards the direction of onlookers. They all seemed prepared to rush the knight at any moment. Yanaka nodded, then lifted up his hand and seemed to do a signal with it. Immediately the onlookers gasped and mumbled before scurrying away. What did you tell them? The Everknight asked. I told them an Everknight has arrived and to treat him with care, Yanaka sighed. So beastfolk here know of Everknights. I'll expect everyone to follow the code. The Everknight crossed his arms. Whoa! Not everyone knows. Though the ones who do, well, they have very little knowledge. The only codes we know are that of a knight eats alone, and a knight must punish those who choose to disrespect their honor. Yanaka paused. We know a little more, but it's hard to separate what I know and what they know. I see. The Everknight shifted his weight slightly. Though from the looks of it, you may have the code of other Everknights mixed into your knowledge as well. Other Everknights? Yanaka asked. Yes. Everknights from different kingdoms have their own code. Though they are very much the same, they have some rules replaced by others. Oh. The rule you just stated are that of the Terra Kingdom. Yes, the rule a knight must punish those who choose to dishonor him exists in the original Everknights. However, there is more to it. After dishonor him, there is in his household or by direct contact. As for the other rule you listed, it simply does not exist. Maybe they created it so people in the Terra Kingdom wouldn't give Everknights a hard time. Wait. I'm sorry, Everknight. I'm confused. Are you saying there are different types of Everknights? No. There is only one true Everknight code. The others just choose small portions to follow. They are not recognized as Everknights. More like standard warriors. We do not fully respect them, but we do not actively pursue their downfall either. Their ways could always lead them back to the source. Okay, that's still confusing. What do you call them? If not Everknights? Wanderers, lost sheeps, strays. We have multiple terms for them, but those are the three names we tend to call them. Whoa! Sounds sort of like a religious thing when you put it that way. Being an Everknight is a way of life. The Everknight lowered himself a tad to the pattern's eye level and shifted to a more relaxed stance. Now that I have shared this information, you must pay me accordingly. What? The Panther Beastfolk took a step back. There is a rule you must know. An Everknight must never accept or give anything for free. He must pay in kind and take what he is owed. Seeing as I shared information about my people, I expect information in return. The Panther gulped. He was frozen with fear. He didn't know what he could give that would be acceptable to such a glorious Everknight. What would you like to know? I shared pieces of information about Everknights. That price is a hefty sum for uncommon folk like yourself. However, seeing as you must be the town's informant, the knight gestured to the onlookers who hadn't left. I assume you do have the means to pay. Means to pay? What do you want to know, Sir Everknight? Yanaka shook with fear. The location of the town's tavern, in addition with the history of this town, leaders, heroes, anything that took place in the town, along with bounty hunters and king visits. What? Yes, king visits are always catalogued. You must tell me of all of this, or pay another way that I'm sure you can't. May I know the other way? You bring me the value in coin by tomorrow, which would amount to 200 gold coins. What? If I am not paid, then I'm afraid you will be punished accordingly. Okay, I don't think you know the consequences of asking for catalogs. I'm not trying to assault you here, Everknight. I can show you to the tavern, no problem, but you must ask the owner for what you need. The beastfolk took a step back, expecting to be struck at any given moment. Catalogs, especially those of king visits, are worth more than lives here. If you seek the hero, traverse to the capital. Ask the king of his whereabouts. Just leave the small townspeople to their own lives. The glorious Everknight kneeled to Yanaka's eye level. The beastfolk held his breath as the Everknight stared at him through his armor. You are unable to pay my sum due to some king's ruling. The Everknight spoke deeply. The sum will still be owed, and I will collect the debt tomorrow. I will give you a method that you can afford. Yes, sir, Yanaka uttered. When was this rule implemented? Catalogs don't usually result in death. Very recently, maybe 2 weeks ago? What type of rule is it? The Everknight seemed annoyed. Well, basically only one person can write catalogs. They also have to be of royal status. The king killed anyone who refused to follow the rule. Yanaka paused as the Everknight reached for his sword. Continue, the Everknight said. Sir, I'm saying I really don't want to stick my nose in the king's affairs. I'll tell you one last thing, then show you to the tavern. So please don't ask any more questions about the catalogs, Yanaka pleaded. The Everknight nodded, still resting his hand on the hilt of his sword. Okay, I have your word then? I will not behead you, for it is not just you I'd be killing, but the whole village. It's quite clear they'd turn against me for this action. Oh, saved by the loyalty of others, I guess. Certainly. Before I tell you the last thing, I must know, what would be the reason for me being executed by you? If you believe there is a rule I am following, there is not. I've been exiled by the other Everknights, and I am trying to earn my way back in. I sometimes find it that to get to my destination quicker, threats work surprisingly well. So you wouldn't actually behead me? No, I would. Then I'd simply go to the tavern and take the catalogs myself. However, there are too many innocent lives here, and how can I earn my way to the Everknights if I am not living by their ways? Yanaka shivered. It seemed this knight wasn't tied to anyone or anything. The only thing stopping him at all is the fact that the knight is trying to change his ways. Now then, tell me what you were going to say about the catalog. The Everknight took a breath to calm himself. Oh, right. Yanaka smiled nervously. Well, they have the king visits of everyone, okay? That includes people who wish to remain hidden. You see, the moment you step into the village, your name pops up onto the catalogs. And if you're an essence user, purple, black, or yellow scribbles appear in the place of your name. And that's all I can say, really. Yanaka gestured to the snowy path that led away from them. The Everknight nodded. Your information has diminished your debt. However, I will still return to you tomorrow to get what I am owed. The Everknight stated before rising and making way for Yanaka to walk past. What are you owed exactly? Yanaka asked, shivering in fear from his own question. The information you provided wasn't enough for an equivalent exchange. Everknights do not share personal information about their way of life. It is something that must be inherited. You owe me information you would not normally receive nor share. I could have obtained that information directly from the tavern owner himself. You must give something that only you would know if you wish to clear the debt fully. For now, it will be 100 gold tomorrow evening, or information that you truly believe only you know. The Everknight stood tall as he spoke this. Oh, I think I get it now, Yanaka said with a curious look on his face. Now then, please lead the way to the tavern. The Everknight gestured toward the path. Yanaka nodded, walking in front of the Everknight and setting off for the tavern. After several minutes of strolling down the path, the pair finally made it to a larger structure. It was a building unlike the others, made of metal and stone, rather than the previous ones which consisted of straw and wood. It was grand, almost like a mansion, so one could only imagine how the inside looked. How spacious it must be. Here we are, sir, Yanaka said, breaking the silence they had been walking in. The Everknight just nodded, handed him a few coins, and went inside. Yanaka paused for a brief moment, looking at the coin given to him. It was 12 silver pieces, a week's wage in his eyes. He hadn't expected to be given anything. He thought to be told of his debt. Before he could even thank the Everknight, the door to the tavern shut, and he was left alone with the light snow falling from the sky. Yanaka! Someone snapped him out of his daze. He turned to see a fellow shop owner running towards him. What is it? He asked. The Royal Guards! The shop owner panted out of breath. What about them? Yanaka crossed his arms. The noblemen and the guards are at your shop. They're all taking the last of your food. Yanaka's heart dropped. End of chapter 1. Hey guys, Crazy Shadow Dragon here again, also known as Girbawali. I hope you enjoyed chapter 1 of The Glorious Everknight. There will be more chapters released in the future. It'll be on wattpad that you can follow along, but eventually it's going to go on Amazon and you can support me there. I'll probably start a Patreon too, maybe. Just little donations here and there. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed all this artwork that was being displayed. I actually drew myself as well. No AI art or anything like that. But yeah, see you guys next time.